Hello and welcome to Atomic Facepalm. I'm Chris, and this time on Heart Attack, we review the Microsoft Xbox One wireless controller. So thanks everybody for tuning in again to Heart Attack. We really do appreciate it. So if you want to leave a comment below, maybe give some suggestions on what you'd like to see reviewed, that would be awesome. We have some headsets coming up and a few other things lined up too. And you can always hit subscribe too, that'd be great. So jumping into this particular review, what we have here is the newest version of Microsoft's basically very common wireless controller for what you might see in the Xbox One. In fact, you've probably seen this exact controller lying around a friend's house or something. You can also get it in the PC, though. You can get this for $80 on the Microsoft Store. Or, if you'd like, you can search around on Amazon and other sites such as that. You can get it for around $65 to $70 plus shipping. Also, if you happen to have an Oculus Rift, it does come free with that as well. So, for our testing purposes, I used Windows 10 Home, and I tested it on quite a few games over the course of something like 6 to 7 months. Probably to its excess, but I really wanted to put this thing to the ringer and see exactly how good it was. I think I have put over 300 hours, no exaggeration, into the testing of this product. So some of the games I played, just for reference, are Owlboy, Hollow Knight, Dark Souls, Prepare to Die Edition, Dead Cells, Rime, Tooth and Tail, What Remains of Edith Finch, Night in the Woods, Little Nightmares, Pyre, and quite frankly, a whole bunch of others. So we're going to go ahead and start out with some of the pluses. I would say the biggest plus, honestly, is the overall comfort. This controller, I would say, is one of the best ones I've ever used. It is extremely comfortable in your hands. It feels right. And overall, it just feels like it's a very solid piece of material. It feels like you could drop this thing, which I have done a few times. It might get chipped up and damaged on the outside, but it works just fine. Of course, it is also wireless, right? That's one of the main reasons I wanted to get it. So let me show you the controller I used to have, which probably many of you have as well. It is the old 360 wireless controller. This old wireless controller, again, very reliable. Plug and play, put it in, worked fine, nothing wrong with it. But I do want to kind of do a comparison here because I feel like a lot of people out there like me, are going to have this old controller with the wire, a little USB adapter that goes with it. So is it worth the upgrade? Well, that's what we're going to find out. So let's do a quick comparison here. The old one, the thumbsticks have these little like dots you can kind of see around here, and that sort of keeps your thumb on there. But the new one, this controller, has grooved kind of indents that go all the way to the outside of the hat stick. I've discovered, for someone like me who's kind of a spaz, this keeps your thumbs really well planted on the analog sticks, which is fantastic. This one has slightly bigger buttons over here, and they feel a lot more tactile and responsive. The biggest change for me, I discovered, is the thumb buttons and the triggers. So unlike the old 360 controller, where the thumb buttons and the triggers are kind of far apart and not that big, this new controller has lots of surface area. It's very easy to move your fingers back and forth between the two, and they're very responsive too. Another awesome change on this controller is the directional pad. I don't know if you can hear this. I'll try and see if we can get a little sound here, and we'll do a little bit of B-roll too to kind of give you a close-up of what I'm talking about, maybe some close-up sound. But it's very, very clicky. So when you press down that directional pad, it's extremely responsive. It is very easy to switch between your weapons because it's very, very pressy. Unlike the old 360 controller, which uses this kind of, it's almost like an analog stick, but with a D-pad slapped on top of it, and it doesn't feel that great. See, I always felt like the D-pad was a big weakness of these old controllers, and Microsoft, to their credit, did fix that. The only caution I would throw out there is if you are playing a tough platformer, if you're someone like me who likes to kind of swap between the analog stick and the D-pad on here is actually not as good for some reason for just using for movement, but not many games honestly support that anyway. Another plus is even though it is expensive, it's an investment to spend 80, well, depending on where you get it from, 60 to 80 bucks on a wireless controller is pricey. But at the same time, for all the other controllers in the market, whether you're going with Razer or you can even use a PlayStation 4 controller on the PC as well, with a little bit of third-party app help. The price point, not a lot of competition there. This is actually still a bargain, believe it or not, even though you are spending quite a bit of money to get there. And of course, I mean, this is not specific to this particular product, but just going wireless, coming off of this myself and getting it tangled around my feet, around the dog, seeing it get cluttered with dust and dirt, going wireless is so much better. It's a freeing experience. So just the fact that it's wireless, it's pretty awesome. So those are the overall pluses. I'm going to go into a few of the minuses, and they are significant. There aren't that many, but the ones that are there, they're worth noting. The battery life is okay. Now, I do realize that largely entails the kind of batteries you're using. So whether they're Duracell, Energizers, whatever, the brand and the type and the quality of the battery make a small impact. But overall, you're looking at probably like something like 40 hours or so. I don't know the exact amount of battery life, but I drained mine, I'd say after a week of playing it quite a bit. So what I would recommend doing and what I did is get a wireless charger. You just plug it into a wall with a AC adapter. You put your wireless controller on it because on the back, it actually also comes with a wireless pack. So I'll go ahead and actually do a quick disassembly here to show you what I mean. I'm just taking off the back panel here. And in the back is a little wireless compartment. Now I'll show you, you probably can't see it too well, so I'll do a comparison with the other controller we have. So right here is the compartment in the back of the controller that still has batteries. And then here is one with the wireless pack. It is a little heavier, but honestly, I appreciate a heavier controller, but the difference is kind of minuscule. So if you go ahead and buy a wireless charger, other ones might not come with the wireless battery pack. Pretty sure most of them do. So all you do is you just drop it into the carriage when you're not using it, and it charges up. One of the big minuses is how big this wireless receiver is. Now, for perspective, I guess I can kind of show you. It's like more than half as long as the whole controller. And if you happen to put this in the front of your PC via USB port, it's very easy to bend this. I actually kind of did bend the other one, and I was able to bend it back, but it was like, oh man, that's a bummer. So it's very heavy, and it sticks out, and it's actually kind of easy to dislodge too. I would have liked to have seen this a little bit more compact, or better yet, I wish they had done a little right angle connector that you can adjust. They do that with HDMI and DisplayPort. Not sure why they don't offer it with this USB port. It would have been worth, even if they charge a few extra dollars, just so you can have it facing up instead of facing out where everything can run into it. You could also put it in the back of your computer. That's fine. But again, this is if you want to have your computer kind of close to the wall, this can get in the way. However, I will say the wireless range is pretty good. Not fantastic, but as long as you're within like eye shot of your PC, which I don't know why you wouldn't be if you're trying to play it with your controller, it's fine. The biggest downside I had with this was normally it's plug and play if you have Windows 10. The problem is if you buy yours from a third-party site, I did get mine off Amazon, and again, it wasn't provided. Bought this with my own money. If you have older firmware on the device and there's really no way to tell until you kind of plug it up and see if it works or not, it's a pain in the ass to get this thing working. Like, I mean a huge pain. I'm actually thinking about doing a whole video just on how to get your Microsoft controller working with Windows 10 because it's a massive draining process. I'm not going to go through the whole thing here because it would actually be a 15 to 20 minute video just on that, but I will give you a quick rundown. For one, regardless of whether you're going to update this thing or not, you have to download a Microsoft Xbox Accessories app on your Windows 10 PC. Okay, that's just to get it to work, no matter what. So that's step one. Then you have to plug it in with a USB cable before you can do anything. Then you have to update the firmware before you can do any of that. And this is, by the way, only if it has the older firmware in here past this point. You then have to download certain Windows updates. Then there's other steps to take as well that don't make much sense. So long story short, I was able to get mine working. It took 2 to 3 days. Not straight, of course. I mean, 2 to 3 days of a couple hours here and there trying to experiment and figure it out. Nightmare. So I would highly recommend going to the Microsoft store and just spending the extra money, honestly. If you're really in a tight pinch, you need a great controller, just be very, very aware that if you go to Amazon or a third-party site and they ship you one with older firmware, you are going to be in for a nightmare of a setup. Not many downsides, but again, the ones that are there are pretty significant. Overall, what are my thoughts? Do I recommend it? Yes, absolutely. Even if you have to go through the hassle of setting up, this is one of the most comfortable, responsive, and enjoyable controllers I have ever used. It's charged for quite a while. It's handy. It's the right amount of weight. And it is a huge, huge upgrade from the Microsoft 360 controller. So, yes, I have used quite a few controllers in my time. I would absolutely recommend getting this, especially if you do a lot of console-style gaming, retro platformers, etc. I played through Hollow Knight with all this and absolutely loved it. So there you have it, guys. That is our review on the Microsoft One wireless controller. Hope you enjoyed it. And again, if you have any suggestions, any thoughts, any comments, leave them below in the comment section. Love to hear from you. And again, we really would appreciate it if you would hit subscribe as well. You can follow me on Twitter. I am Havoc06. That is Havoc, the number 0, and the number 6. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Until next time, good luck and have fun.